Hello everyone, and welcome to CodeSprout's Fundamentals of JavaScript tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will be covering operators and expressions. The good news is, you have already begun to implement operators and expressions throughout your coding experience here at CodeSprout. We will go into detail on how these operators work and the different types that you can implement into your future programs. Let's get started. In this video, we will be covering the following topics. What are operators? Arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, string operators, and finally, we will use operators in action. What are operators? In JavaScript, operators are symbols that perform operations on operands, which are values and variables. Expressions are a combination of values, variables, and operators that evaluate a single value. JavaScript has many types of operators that can be categorized based on what they do. We have arithmetic operators, which can be used for calculations. We have assignment operators, which can assign values to certain variables. We have comparison operators, which can compare values between multiple variables. We have logical operators, which can combine logical statements. We have string operators, which can combine strings. We have conditional or ternary operators, which are used for if-else statements. We also have type operators and bitwise operators. But for this tutorial, we will mainly be focusing on arithmetic, assignment, comparison, and string operators. Arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators perform mathematical operations on numerical values. These are fundamental operators that you'll use for calculations within JavaScript. Basic arithmetic operators include addition, which is the plus sign, subtraction, which is the subtraction sign or the minus sign, multiplication, which is the star, division, which can be denoted as a slash. We have the modulus operator, which is a percentage sign, and we have an exponentiation operator, which includes two stars. We can also use arithmetic operators to increment and decrement operators. We can do so by using the plus plus operator sign. This will increase our value of a number variable by 1. The same applies for the decrement operator, which is two minus signs, which will subtract the value of an operator by 1. Assignment operators. Assignment operators assign values to JavaScript variables. The basic assignment operator is equals, but there are also compound assignment operators that combine an arithmetic operation with assignment. Assignment operators are essential tools in JavaScript programming. They allow you to assign and update values efficiently, making your code more concise and readable. We now have comparison operators. Comparison operators compare two values and return a Boolean result, which, if you know from the previous tutorial, is a true or false logic statement. These operators are essential for conditional statements and logical operations. Basic comparison operators include the equal to sign, not equal to sign, strict equal to, which means that the value needs to be exactly the same and the same variable type, strict not equal to, which is the same logic as the strict equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. A quick tip is every time you see an exclamation mark within your code, you can denote that as a not, meaning the exclamation mark sign stands for not equal to, or strictly not equal to, or not less than if we're using greater than or equal to or less than operators. Finally, we have string operators. String operators in JavaScript are used to work with text data. The primary string operator is the concatenation operator, which can be represented as the plus sign, which joins strings together. You can think of concatenation as combining two strings or words. In this example, you have the variable fav, which is our string 1, and you have another variable called tutor, which is string 2. Concatenating both of these terms creates a new string, fav tutor. We can also concatenate strings with numbers. If we have a number variable and we set it equal to 30, and then we have a string message variable which states that I am with the number variable age followed by years old, we will get the statement I am 30 years old. Concatenation can be used with other types of variables, including Boolean variables. If you remember, Boolean variables represent true or false logic statements. So the variable isStudent is set to true. We can use this in our string concatenation. Student status plus isStudent will give us the student status is true. The plus equals operator can be used to append a string with an existing string. For example, if we have the string variable greeting, which at the time is only the word hello, and then we append the following word world to it, we can now get a greeting variable that states hello world. We can also use our string operators to compare different values and make sure that strings are either the same value or not the same value. We have string equality, which we can simply say is denoted by the triple equals sign. If string 1 is equal to string 2, then the statement is true. If string 1, in this case, with the capital H, is equal to string 2, which has a lowercase h, this will be false, as we're using a strict operator here, which needs to be the exact same string, meaning that case sensitivity applies. We can also do alphabetic comparison and comparing string lengths. Let's combine all of these concepts into a coding exercise. You can use any IDE of your choosing, or use CodeSprout's built-in playground to try out this exercise. We will now begin implementing our understanding of operators to create a password-protected multi-calculation tool. Let's first add a welcome message to our program. We can do so through the simple console.log command, and in the statement say, "Welcome to CodeSprout's multi-calculation tool. Please fill out the information below to gain access." We'll also create a number variable called verifyPass, which we will then use to verify our password. More on this later. To create our verifyPass variable, we can simply type let verifyPass equals 0 and set it to 0. Once our user verifies their password, we will then change this variable to 1, and this will give the user access to the multi-calculation tool. We will start by using the prompt command to request a username from the user and store it as a variable. To do so, we can create a username variable, which we can then set equal to the prompt command. Within the prompt command, we want to specify that the user is entering their username, so we can simply type, "Please enter a username." We will then prompt the user again, but this time request a password. We can do so by creating a password variable and setting it equal to the prompt command, and within the prompt command simply typing, "Please enter a password." We will now have the user verify his password before gaining access to our program. We can do so by creating another prompt statement and storing it as the re-entered password. This re-entered password will then be compared to the initial input password, and if the passwords match, the user will have access to our program. So, let's create a verify password variable and set it equal to a prompt. And the prompt is simply going to state the user to re-enter their password. Please re-enter your password. We will now create an if statement which will compare if the verify password variable is strictly equal to, which we can denote using the three equal signs, the initial password. If this condition is true, we can simply print console.log within our console statement account successfully created. You can now use the tool. And now, to keep track of this information that the user has properly verified their account, we can set our verify pass variable equal to 1, which we can simply do as verify pass equal 1. If the user did not verify their account properly, we can create a else statement. And within the else statement, we can simply type failed to verify password. Please run the program again. Now we can begin implementing our multi-calculation tool. To do so, we'll first have to verify if the number variable verify pass is equal to 1, which can only be achieved if the password has properly been verified. We can do this by using an if statement. And if the verify pass variable is equal to 1, which is the comparison operator for arithmetic operations, then we can begin implementing our multi-calculation tool. We'll first start by creating a welcome message that includes the user's username. To do so, we can simply type console.log followed by our welcome message. Welcome to our multi-calculation tool, followed by a space, and then a comma, and then we'll list the username variable. Our multi-calculation tool will request two numbers or variables from the user, named x and y. Let's create prompt statements for these two variables so we can get two number values from our user. We can start by implementing x, which we can then set to let x equals, and then the prompt feature. Within the prompt statement, we can simply type, please enter your first number. We can go ahead and copy this entire code and do the same for our y variable. And simply change this to please enter your second number. Now that the user has implemented an x and y variable, or number 1 and number 2, we can begin performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the division on these two numbers and print these results to our user. We can do so through our console.log statement, and in here, list what each operation is that is being conducted. Firstly, we'll do addition. We can do addition through adding the number x plus y. We will then reuse this console.log statement 3 more times for addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Let's begin implementing the subtraction. Instead of the plus operator, we'll use the minus operator. And for multiplication, we will use the star operator. And finally, for the division operation, we can use the division operator. Before we begin running our program, since JavaScript is a dynamically typed language, meaning that our variables are not strictly defined based on if they are a number variable or if they are a string variable, this can cause issues during the use of operators, which is why it's important to denote in your print statements that our x and y variable is a number. If you simply tried adding both of these numbers by listing x and y, you will run into an issue, and it will essentially combine our x and y value. So if we typed in 7 for x and y as 2, our value would be printed out as 72 instead of the addition value. So it's important that you specify what type of variable it is so that the operators do not get confused. Let's begin running our program. We're now asked to enter a username. I will enter the username CodeSprout. We are now asked to enter a password, which I'll enter in as pass. We are now asked to re-enter our password, but let's quickly see what would happen if we re-enter the wrong password. I will enter pass with the lowercase p, and if you remember, since we're using a strictly equivalent operator here, case sensitivity does apply. Running this program, we get the failed to verify password, please run the program again message. So let's do so with the correct password this time. For the username, I will use CodeSprout again, and for the pass, we will use pass with a capital P, and the re-entered password will be the same, the word pass with a capital P. We are now asked to enter our first number. For this example, I will use 7 as the first number and 2 as the second number. Running this, we get the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division values for 7 and 2. Congratulations! You have now completed CodeSprout's Operators and Expressions tutorial. You have learned a lot about the various types of operators and even implementing them into a password-protected multi-calculation program. We implore you to read over operators and expressions in more detail in CodeSprout's Lessons section and take the quiz to check your understanding. You can continue to practice operators and expressions in CodeSprout's built-in playground. In the next tutorial, we will be covering functions. See you then!